Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
Hi, let me turn this off. Happy Thursday, everybody. So, why is it when I start the show, I feel like my throat is dry? Honey, I need to make sure I have my cup of tea with me. But I do have my water. But hi, everybody. Welcome to Man Up Thursday with Joshua Brown and me, the real Dana. Tonight, we will be talking about Fani Willis, yes. And I am going to stream live the Georgia Senate Committee tomorrow morning because she has been subpoenaed. Fani Willis has been subpoenaed to face the music to testify in front of the Georgia Senate Committee. But Ms. Thing is being defiant and saying that she is not going to show up. She thinks she's above the law. So we're going to get into that. L.A. Pink is a guest. I will be bringing her up shortly, waiting for the judge to get here. He's logging on. We know he has the Pony Express Wi-Fi, so it takes him a minute. Also, breaking news. No, it's not breaking news. Willie Brown finally speaks. Dana, I have to tell you, in the past month, you all. Oh, thank you, S. Carr. Willie Brown finally speaks. And that interview was dry as hell. It was so dry. And the Art of Dialogue wasn't the main one. Art wasn't interviewing, it was somebody else. They didn't chop it up in clips, which I would have wished they did. He just uploaded a whole 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm only at 1 hour and 30 minutes. And I don't think I could sit through another hour of his bullshit. See, I always say this, and I want you guys to get this embedded in your brain. All politicians are liars. It is up to us, we the people, we are the forecasters. We are the forecasters. So we make them give us what we want and what we need because they're liars. He is a lifelong politician, just like Kamala Harris. And when did it become popular for a married man to sit up here and be interviewed for 2.5 hours glorifying his side chick in public who was running for president? No shame. Yes, Donald Trump got a lot of shit with him. Yes, he cheated on his wife. Yes, he said grab her by the pussy when he was around a whole bunch of men locker room talk, right? Because women say worse. But is he doing interviews glorifying these women? No. So do he really think by him breaking his silence and giving this chick these hellified, falsified praises, do he really think that's helping her campaign? I'm reading the comments. They're dragging his ass. They're dragging a platform saying, why you ain't chop this shit up? Why you ain't interview him? Because he ain't asking the tough questions. He's a liar. She's a liar. We don't believe him. That was a waste of time. Honey, if you was going to break... If you was going to sit up here and break your silence at least say something juicy. And if you grab this interview from Willie Brown, the first question in this interview should have been, tell us about your relationship, your personal relationship with Kamala Harris. When did you guys start dating? Did you give her a promotion because you were sleeping with her? He went around all that. And he speaks like, oh. That's how Willie Brown talks. But it's like, dude, I already, I spoke to a couple of people I know out there in the Bay. It was like when he was mayor, he was loved by the Black people because he knows how to talk Black. But when he in front of a camera, he want to talk not white, but he want to talk like he's so boule. But he's talking lies. Oh, I'm going to go in further details later on in the show because I want the judge input on this. The reason why he chose, and I don't think Art from Art Dialogue, I'm assuming that's his name, Art. I don't think he went after Willie Brown for that interview. I think they came to him. And they probably said, don't ask these questions this way. And because why would you, when you break your silence, why would you go on Art Dialogue? I'm going to tell you why. Because Judge Joe Brown was on Art Dialogue and they said, what do you think about Kamala Harris? First thing come out of his mouth was, she's a piece of shit. And then he just went in. And then he talked about her sleeping her way up the top. So he chooses to break his silence on Art Dialogue to subliminally counter what Judge Joe Brown was saying. See, nobody's not stupid. But you drop the ball, dude, because you're not believable. The interview was dry, it was boring, and we could tell it's nothing but lies. He painted her as this picture-perfect person who did no wrong, who actually were fighting for the people, who was a hard worker. Boy, bye. They're even saying in the comments, we want the wife to speak. Where's your wife? And he's 90. Looks good, sound good for his age. But Willie Brown has a dirty history too. Yes, he does. This is the same man that was part of, what was the name of that Jim Jones church out of San Francisco? The People's Church. I have it right here. Hold up. People's Temple. From 1975 to 1978, Brown supported the People's Temple led by Jim Jones while it was being investigated for alleged criminal wrongdoing. Brown attended the temple perhaps a dozen times and served as master of ceremonies at the testimony dinner for Jones, where he said in his introduction, "Let me present to you a combination of Martin King, Angela Davis, Albert Einstein, Chairman Mao." And do you know the history of Jim Jones? Because 99% of his congregation were Black. And you have the former mayor of San Francisco in the 70s. I don't think he was mayor in the 70s, but you have this up-and-coming politician supporting the People's Temple, which were scamming people out their life savings, scamming them and convincing them and manipulating them to go to Guyana and making them drink the damn Kool-Aid. That's what Willie Brown was supporting. Probably because most likely he probably was getting money under the table to fund whatever campaign, allegedly. So I'm just like, and I'm sweating, I'm steaming. Oh, I got my door closed, honey. I don't have no draft, no air coming in here. So my thing is, we gonna talk about it. Because when did it become popular for you dudes to come out and speak on your side chicks who's running for office, who you promoted in that position? The disrespect. Is his wife still alive? Because he's 90. So the wife old like him. Maybe she passed on. And then he's doubled down and saying he still love her. That interview was so dry and boring, and it was not believable. Sir, we don't believe you. You are a liar. Willie Brown, you are a liar, just like Kamala Harris. And I'm going to pause right there because that was my intro. What do you call it? What do you call the thing? I forgot what you call it. I forgot when you come in and you talk before the show actually talk. Either way, that was my little intro. And we're going to dig in Willie Brown, Doodoo Brown ass later on in the show. But we got to talk about Fani ass. Hi, Judge.
Hi there.
Monologue. Thank you, Jay. Yes, honey. Yes, monologue.
I think he was House Majority Leader for the Democratic Party in the California legislature before he became mayor.
When he was dealing with the People's Temple in the 70s?
Yeah. He advocated for them. So did some other people too. Feinstein and Pelosi and all of that bunch. They loved him. Too bad they didn't.
Did you click on the video that I sent you of the interview?
I didn't have time to go over that. I was trying to get some stuff working around.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to play a couple of clips, but we'll talk about that after we get into Fani. I want to bring up Ellie Pink. Where's she at? Oh, wait a minute. Hey!
Hey,
Madame.
what's going on?
Thank you for being available.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So let me share. Let's begin right into it. Let's see, what is this? Fulton County DA Willis seeks to block Georgia Senate subpoenas. 3 judges recused from ruling. Let's see. Oh, they want to show a commercial. So 3 judges have recused themselves from the case concerning Fulton County DA.
County DA Fani Willis wants to block 2 Georgia Senate subpoenas that could require she produce documents and testify on Friday. The state Senate Special Committee on Investigations is requesting Willis's testimony and documents related to the election interference case and her relationship with former Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. In court filings, Willis says those documents are harmful to the prosecution. She's also challenging the legality of those subpoenas. But Willis can't seem to find a judge to oversee the case. Tonight, 3 Fulton County Superior Court judges have recused themselves from the matter.
All right. So the subpoenas issued by the state Senate Special Committee investigations.
You have more important things in life.
Sorry. Seeks Willis testimony and documents related. What is this? Oh, seeks Willis has some documents related to her ongoing investigation in the 2020 election interference and her relationship with Nathan Wade, former special prosecutor. Willis filed for an injunction to halt the subpoenas, which demanded her appearance at a hearing on Friday. In a filing submitted September 4th, Willis, represented by former Georgia Governor Roy Barnes, argued that the subpoena's broad demands for documents will harm the prosecution's case. She requested a permanent injunction to prevent enforcement of the subpoenas by the committee. 3 Fulton County Superior Court judges have recused themselves from the case. Judge Shawald Sr., Lethbridge, and citing unspecific conflict of interest. And on Monday, Judge Scott McAfee, who we interviewed, also recused himself, noting his involvement in overseeing the election interference case against former President Donald Trump and others. He also dropped 3 more additional charges from the Georgia election RICO case as well. He says, McAfee says, in his recusal order, wrote that given the overlap in the Georgia election interference case against Trump and others, his impartiality might reasonably be questioned.
Be questioned. Yeah, he's the only one. He's one that's got the built-in excuse. He really shouldn't, because it's a civil matter, and it pertains in a fashion to some of the proceedings pending before him in the criminal matter. That's quite all right. And I don't know what the basis for the recusal is from the other one, but since judges have to work with people on a regular basis in the DA's office or other officials, typically what they do to avoid the appearance of impropriety is recuse themselves, and the state Supreme Court appoints an outside judge to come in and look at the matter.
But she says she ain't showing up.
Well, that's until the courts get a hold of it. She is a constitutional officer, but the state has to do with the oversight and the appropriation of funds or tax dollars. So the question becomes, what happened to the tax dollars they appropriated to her? And she has not filed the appropriate documents to show what has happened to them. That's what I was telling you about, the $7.5 million for the backlog in criminal cases, the $2 million for the sex crimes matters, and the $500,000 for the juvenile court prosecution. So those monies seem to have disappeared. And some other things touching on Wade's appointment, and why is it that she okayed and had them pay out $720,000?
She is also refusing to hand over 5 years of texts she exchanged with ex-boyfriend Nathan Wade, or shall we say on again, off again boyfriend.
So shall she take the Fifth Amendment here because it might show prosecution? She could claim Fifth Amendment. She should have long ago, because I can see a whole lot of criminal cases that might be inferred from her testimony. And some of the documents might have a bearing on future criminal prosecutions against her.
So
hold on a second.
So
keep going.
that was this. So if she skips out of showing up at the Georgia Senate committee hearing that she was subpoenaed to show up and testify at, what happens if she does not show up?
She could be found in contempt of court. The appellate courts still have jurisdiction over her, so does the Supreme Court. And this is a constitutional entity that does have the authority to issue subpoenas through an appropriate court. So she's an officer of the court. She's not a judge herself. And most likely the subpoenas were issued through a circuit or superior court, depending upon what they would be called in Georgia. So she's going to have to answer to it, just like anybody she had subpoenas issued against would have to produce the appropriate evidence, unless they could get a judge of competent jurisdiction to do what they call quashing the subpoena. Quashing.
But the hearing is tomorrow. So is there enough time for her to do all that to skip out? Either way.
Technically, she's supposed to answer it until she gets it quashed. Otherwise, she's likely in contempt of whatever court issued it on behalf of the state legislative body. And then again, some state legislative bodies, depending upon the state's laws, may have the jurisdictional authority to issue subpoenas relative to their matters. She'd still have to get the subpoena quashed.
But the 3 judges who recused themselves, that was bad for her because they can't squash it or look at what she's
No,
trying.
it's neutral. It's just saying, like Judge Meerschaun in New York should have recused himself because his wife and daughter have an interest in the outcome of the matter. He shouldn't have been the judge on the case, but he stayed on. But these people are, out of the abundance of caution, since so much attention is being paid, are saying, hey, I know the woman, there might be a conflict or no telling what it is. And
So can they lock her
have
up?
an automatic reason to recuse because the issues are caught up with another pending matter.
So can they lock her up?
They can.
Well, I hope they do. Let's get LA Pink. Your thoughts?
Let me tell you something. As crooked as Georgia is, this is the reason why I don't even understand how they even have a say, a comment, or anything about what's going on with Trump or anybody else, because there's so much corruption here. When you have judges that have to recuse themselves because they cannot be on a case. I mean, I understand she's the DA, but you have to understand these judges down here, they're accusing themselves from everything, from the YSL, from my case, from everybody's cases, because of so much corruption and so much of the connection that they have with, and their hands in, I'm not going to even say connection, their hands in and being in bed with so many different people. You know, they're all in bed together, which is sad, and it's really being revealed right now to show, you know, exactly the corrupt crew. You know, the code of corruption is what we call them. So I think that if anybody else was to do what she's trying to do right now, they would be thrown in jail. I mean, from the very first time when she was, you know, rejecting everything and saying what she ain't gonna do, they would have been arrested her, you know. I mean, just the fact of us watching her pull up with Wade, that would have been an arrest sitting out for somebody else, for YSL or me or you or anybody else that they were trying to come after, and they said that they didn't do something and did it in front of a judge with their right hand raised, swearing that they have not done this, and then be caught doing what they said they wasn't doing, you know, they would have been arrested. So
I don't know if they'd have been arrested, but let's put it this way. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, so to speak. And there are a lot of pending matters, and this would touch greatly upon matters of credibility if those pending possibilities vested. So it would be bad, but it's not. It's almost customary for a judge in a given jurisdiction to recuse him or herself when the party involved is an officer or an elected official in the same district.
Okay.
That's just customary. Somebody will say he donated to, he contributed to, he once, hey, we took her to a cocktail party or something like that. So yeah, they stay out. Not always, but a lot of times.
Okay, so the problem I have, Fani Willis plans to defy subpoena and skip the Senate hearing. I am going to be streaming live this Senate hearing, whether she show up or not. But the audacity, Pamela? The audacity of this woman. Why does she continue to think she is above the damn law?
Because they're dumping on her because she's a sister girl, even though the only person she technically answers to happens to be, the only persons she happens to answer to are the voters in her district, but she is subject to the subpoena powers of the state legislative body and of a court of competent jurisdiction that may back up the subpoenas. And they can cut her money off too.
So,
or cut money off.
all right. So, LA Pink,
Mhm.
you've had plenty of run-ins with the Fulton County corruption. And, excuse me, and you have been bringing to light the corruption that is going on in Fulton County in the DA's office and especially the sheriff department. And you did send me this because Sheriff LaButte tried to press charges against you. It was thrown out, correct? And you could talk about it now, right? And you press charges against him. You're muted. Did I mute you?
Oh, okay, I did.
You pressed charges against him, but recently, I think it was last week, the judge threw those charges out, so and dismissed it. So, give us your input, of just this whole debacle and just a quick update on your situation.
Right. So we had, I had a warrant hearing that I had put out for him signing a sworn affidavit saying that I committed a crime that I did not commit. But then he, of course, redacted. Well, in the process of that, when we were in court and going through all of the process, Mike Sterling came on and said that his paralegal had signed the documentation for Sheriff LaButte, that he didn't sign the documentation, that he was aware of it, but he wasn't aware of everything that was supposed to have been on this documentation. But on this document was signed, and it says you have to appear in front of a notary, and it was signed. Sheriff LaButte, it said Patrick LaButte, swear that this, whatever is being said inside of the paperwork that was filled out about me was true, and everybody signed it. Well, then the judge, they got in front of the judge, they got in front of the attorney, and of course he is the sheriff, and said that someone forged his signature on the paper, which was supposed to have been Michael Sterling's paralegal. He told her to do whatever she needed to do to get this documentation signed, to get it through at the time, because he felt like it was a threat towards Sheriff LaButte, towards me. Well, the problem that we were bringing in front of the judge, and that the judge denied to look at, was the fact that all this was done on the very same day. So he signed the documentation and it was sent through to the judge all in the same day. And he was trying to say that he wasn't aware of it. Once it got to him, he denied it, that all this stuff was true in it. So he told them not to file the paper, but the paper wasn't pulled back. He said within 12 hours, the paper was not, was drawn back, was, told to redact. And when the attorney Mario looked at the documentations was all done in the exact same day, within the same hour of, and then on April 4th, when I went to the news, that's when they pulled it back.
I was about to say, what happened? Well, they stay in the news of corruption, because the last time I had you on the show, we were talking about, the big scandal, the recent big scandal that came out of Fulton County Jail, with those correction officers sleeping with the inmates, bringing them in cell phones, and then also the big drug ring bust, $1 million drug ring bust that they uncovered in the Fulton County Jail, and that video did very well. But they stay in the news with the corruption, and this is the latest one that you sent me. Another jail contractor accuses Fulton Sheriff Patrick LaButte of non-payment.
Yep.
So, a private jail contractor is accusing Fulton County Sheriff LaButte of racking up hundreds of thousands in unpaid bills raising mounting concerns about financial decisions and possible management within the sheriff's office. The Butt office owes software company Leo Technology $600,000. Leotech suspended phone monitoring services in the jail in August after it wasn't paid by the sheriff for 7 months. Well, maybe he don't need it because you have the correction officers bringing in cell phones to the inmates.
Absolutely.
That's not what he's talking about.
I know, I was being funny.
They record the conversations in case there's incriminating evidence being exchanged. But
okay, so even better. Maybe he didn't pay him so that, okay, we can't use your services because whatever you record, you're probably going to find out all the other corruptions that your department is doing within the jail system.
What it means probably is they stole the money and hoped to get it back in there before it became crucial. So they were reneging on the contract payment to this poor guy, hoping he wouldn't make too big a fuss.
Well, what we're finding out what he does is that he allows these companies to come in, do the work, and the Board of Commissioners, once they put in the lawsuit, they have to pay them. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, oh, well, they ain't gonna give me no money. You come in, do the work, they got to give you the money. You just go ahead and sue out. It'll fall on me, but it'll fall on them because it all falls on the Board of Commissioners. Now they're pushing back to push it back to him and hold him reliable for it because these are debts that he's making within himself, which they said that he can, he can make decisions, and he's just making the wrong decisions, knowing that he has already mismanaged money and still making other deals with different people. Just like right now, he told the crew that walked off that they can come back and he would hire them as regular deputies. Well, how? They haven't even been trained. They ain't been trained. They nothing. You just gonna bring them back, and he has brought a lot of them back. And I don't know the count of how many, but from what was given to me from some of the deputies that's in there, he has brought some of them back. And they said that, we have videotape of one of them confessing that she didn't even know that she was coming back to be hired. He brought her back off in there, started questioning her, and already had paperwork pulled up for her to start back. Well, who ain't gonna just jump on that? You know what I'm saying? But with all of the corruption that's going on, with people sleeping with inmates in maximum security areas that can cost people their lives. I mean, I'm not understanding.
I interviewed Mr. Charles Rambo.
What's with the balloons?
I don't know. I interviewed Mr. Charles Rambo, and great interview. He's running for a sheriff. And I do want to encourage people to go out and vote for him. And I'm going to have him on the show next week, Thursday.
Perfect.
But he went in details to, first of all, hiring these outside contractors, these security guards as an outside contractor coming in. That's a no-no. And Sheriff Butt, he's not good with giving direction, operations, just the whole standard of the organization. He doesn't know what he's doing, basically. He doesn't. So let's kind of swing back to Fani, because the sheriff and the DA, they always work closely together. And so I believe that her office is corrupt. And if her office is corrupt, that Fulton County Sheriff Office and the jail is going to be corrupt. Like, everyone is in bed with each other.
Yeah.
You sent me this clip, and because we were talking when I said in the beginning of the show with Willie Brown and Kamala Harris, and sleeping with people, whatever. She did the same thing with Nathan Wade, when you sleeping with coworkers who you work closely with, nepotism and giving them promotions or giving them raises or put them in positions to make more money to elevate their careers. But she contradicted herself, because this was the interview when she was basically saying that the person who she was running against for DA did the same thing. Can you just explain that real quick? Because I don't want to confuse that story.
Right. So what she was saying is that that's how she won the election, because she was telling everybody that, Paul Howard has stole so much money and that he was sleeping around with the employees and, all the different things that was going on in the office. And allegedly she knows because she was one of the ones he was sleeping with. So from what they say, so this is how she was able to capture the community's attention by saying that it's a distraction for him to be doing that, and just giving all the, just dragging him in the dirt, and the thing that I know some people say, why does it matter who's sleeping with who? It only matters when you use that to win an election, and then you come back and do the same thing that you just used to go against someone to win. So now it's good. It wasn't good for him, which is a black man, but it's good for you that you a black woman, because they always quick to this black woman. I'm a black woman. I'm a black man. Like it was somebody black that fought hard for us to even be saying we're black in the positions that we're in. So why are we messing it up? Why are we sitting up here allowing corruption to be inside of the commissioner, the city council, your DA, your sheriff, your mayor dickhead down here? I mean, like, he's the worst. I mean, and they're all in bed with Karen, they all pushing for Karen to become president. And if she becomes president, the corruption down here is going to be off the chain. Because
by the way, no interruption, but you're looking at the exact same thing she was responsible for out in California, is this precise kind of corruption. Same thing in San Francisco. It's the same thing you look at with Fox, as state's attorney up in Chicago, Illinois.
I don't want to go into Kamala Harris right now.
No, I'm not, but I'm just running down the list. Mm-hmm. It seems to be consistent. It's the same thing you have with Letitia James in New York. And now you have Fani. What is this? Is it contagious? Is it something in the water? Kool-Aid, maybe?
And I only brought up Karen because they're all in bed together down here. They're all into this. We got to get Trump. And of course, they all pumped her up. Of course, she had met with Karen personally to whatever this personal meeting they had. And it was. So she is most definitely going to be a pillar and a killer down here in Georgia.
So let me play this clip.
I say Rico to a layperson, they think my favorite book. They think
fancy.
The Godfather, right? They think The Godfather. They think that Rico is a mechanism used only for gangsters and mobsters. If people really understand what the racketeering charge is, it is most often used for corporations. And so the theory was that the Atlanta Public Schools was a corporation. And through the corporation, they did false documents and false statements. That's the way it's actually typically used, probably about 60% of the time. 40% is this kind of notion that we think of that's sexy, right? The gangsters is sexy. The corporation ain't sexy at all. And so it was a tool to charge them with the crimes that they committed, which were the false documents, the false statements.
I think we get it now. Her approach to the election case against Trump in Georgia, it's about telling a story, something I can relate to, so many journalists can, a beginning in hand.
And that's made me a great supervisor and a great trainer, because not only am I compassionate towards victims, I'm compassionate about those I teach. I've been compassionate towards defendants.
Forced excellence. She better win in all areas, motherhood, career. It's about how we must present.
You have to have courage. What you're sitting with is a woman that has courage. I'm going to look at those cases, look at the facts, look at the evidence, and make a decision.
I briefly discussed Willis's sense of humor.
I don't know, you a little younger than me. I don't know if you ever been in a relationship and some things went wrong. But if you've been in a relationship and things went wrong, before you can get past what went wrong, it's got to be, oh, I'm sorry I did this. This is how we get past it. This is how we get through it. And I think we need that as a city. It's accountability. Like, you got to have accountability. Like, babe, I need you to say you're sorry, not you didn't do it. And so until we can get to I'm sorry, we can't get to fixing it.
Lord help us.
I'm going to play another clip. Give me a second.
Practice what you preach. That's all I can say.
Okay, so this is all right. I'm not going to play this full thing because this is 38 minutes. But I want to. You don't have a timestamp when she was talking about.
I had sent you another clip too, and that one was right on the mark.
Can you hear that?
Now, while you're looking what RICO stands for, RICO, it stands for Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act. It doesn't sound anything like that idiot just got through defining. Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act. Specific intent. It started off as a federal law that provided for extended criminal penalties and civil causes of actions for organized crime activity. Now,
let me play a little bit of this.
Citizens in Fulton County, and that we pour into, and it's going to make a difference in everything that
you can hear that.
Yeah.
The DA should do.
I want to know how, when you decided to enter the race, were you approached and by who?
Oh my God, I've been approached for probably 7 or 8 years. People have been begging me, will you please run for the district attorney's seat? The office is broken.
What
Paul
kind of
doesn't. Oh my goodness, from community activists. I can tell you a funny story. There's an African-American couple, the Jordans. They live down in South Fulton. I was sitting at the nail shop one day, minding my business, having like one of them days for yourself in the nail shop. And I can remember that Daphne Jordan, who is a big community activist, and her husband, Walter Jordan, she did the slider bill. I don't know if you're familiar with the slider bill. And I'm sitting there minding my business, getting my nails done, having some just Fani time, right? And Daphne Jordan loud in the middle of the nail shop 3 years ago, girl, please run for DA. And through the corporation, they did false documents and false statements. That's the way it's actually typically used, probably about 60% of the time. 40% is this kind of notion that we think of that's sexy, right? The gangster, if he was running against Paul Howard, they got a long history of Noah is a defense attorney. Let me tell you this too. Over 1,500 people have given money to me. More than 85% of them are African American. Over 500 of them are attorneys, mostly defense attorneys. Calls. We all know in the criminal law that is the lowest standard. They've done their job. That somebody said, Miss Reed did it. Miss Reed gets arrested.
Plenty of times. Never been arrested though, Miss Willis.
Okay, but Miss Reed gets arrested in my hypothetical. What should happen then is when it gets to the district attorney's office, we are going to do a complete investigation. Upon us doing that complete investigation, I believe far less people are going to get indicted.
Who have to deal with that pain and indeed, as you indicated, not the closure.
But I asked him, was you compelled on him 43? Was you compelled on Jamarian Robinson's mama who'd been waiting since 2016? You have a child, I saw her. Can you imagine sitting waiting on an answer for 4 years? The
So
answer
this
may be that you're not going to charge, but you deserve the
Robinson's mother, and still never indicted the police. But she's sitting up here talking about Paul Howard not doing his job to indict the police and send the police to jail for something that she's talking about, but have not done nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But got money to complete the case and never ever did anything.
$7,500,000 from the state legislative body to catch up on delinquent prosecutions, and it's disappeared.
Ain't did nothing.
By the way, RICO is Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act. It was a 1970 federal act, and the purpose was to facilitate the prosecution of organized criminal organizations. In other words, specifically mentioned as such things as the mafia and other such. She says corporate entities, which is a lie. That's not what it was intended to deal with. It was organized crime where the individuals made a living through criminal acts of an ongoing, repetitive, and organized nature.
You're absolutely right, because I've never heard or seen corporations be put up on charges of RICO. You see them maybe in antitrust or something like that, but never RICO. I've never seen a major corporation. So, and I do remember the whole concept of RICO wasn't that created in the 80s?
No, it was October 15th, 1970 when it was introduced in Congress. And that's when they published the act.
Mm-hmm.
And it was enacted that same year. It's amended 18 United States codes, crimes, and criminal procedure. The public law is 91-452. United States and Georgia adopted a modification of that. So it's for the dealing with organized crime entities that are created and operate on the basis of criminality, which furnishes substantially their entire or the majority of their entire income.
Mm-hmm.
It's got nothing to do with this. A teachers union, for goodness sakes, a rap group, a president of the United States and his staff for trying to exercise what amount to scrutiny of what many, including myself, feel was a corrupt election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, again,
even Kemp, I think she even did it on Kemp's. Was it his? It wasn't his assistant. It was somebody that was doing his plant. It was kind of like the whistleblower. It was kind of she ordered some products with some funding that was supposed to be for same thing that she did, same thing Fani Willis did. She used the money that was supposed to be used for not fundraiser, but a grant that was supposed to be used for specific things, and bought some hats and some computers and all of this stuff. And the person that was doing Kemp's did the same thing, and she put a RICO on her.
I believe she's abusing a RICO status just to get a conviction, because usually when somebody throws a RICO on you, it's hard to win. It's hard to beat against a RICO. And it's with this Trump election probe case, they're going to beat the charges against the RICO. That's what it's looking like. So again,
YSL too,
and YSL too. Yeah. So, and then her ass is supposed to be sitting from the Georgia committee tomorrow, and she's saying she ain't going. And I want to see her in handcuffs. And her lawyer, former governor of Georgia, is basically saying, well, they didn't issue the subpoena right, and it's going to jeopardize the Trump case. The Trump case is on hold
Right.
until her situation is cleared up. And
Yeah.
that's not going to be until what, late October, November?
After November.
After November, after the election, yeah, because they pushed it back again. So that's not a good excuse that her lawyer is giving for her to skip out, because you don't have a case against Trump right now. We're focused on you and your corruption. So show up and testify if you ain't do nothing wrong.
Ladies, what the whole thing is about is an abusive process. It's got very little to do with the expectations of a conviction. It's a deliberate effort to stymie somebody doing something else, tie them up, and cause them to basically suffer in their other enterprises, even if you know you're not going to get a conviction. They still spend the time dealing with
money, the time, because that was just like what Courtney Kramer had said about Paul Howard had told her not to pursue the YSL. He didn't pursue the YSL case because there wasn't enough evidence. And then she comes in when she becomes DA and pursues it anyways and puts a RICO out on it, knowing that there wasn't enough evidence. But because right now you have so much corruption with the judges and, you know, with Glanville being off in there and helping along the way, you know, that's what the streets say, or what we all are witnessing, I should say, as well. You know, it's just, you can just, the reek of corruption is just there.
Well, that's what the Bill of Rights and due process were supposed to prevent. But they are ignoring it, and they're trying to get rid of it. Whether you're on the West Coast, Fulton County, Washington, D.C., it's rather astonishing, and so few people seem to recognize what they're doing. But I guess that's because so few people get to study these simple matters when they are in elementary and junior high school. Nobody talks about the Constitution.
Well, all right. So, like I said, I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. LA Pink, if you got time, I'll throw you the link. You can hop on. But thank you so much for hopping on tonight. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Anytime. Anytime.
Did you go on AV7 podcast?
You said what happened?
AV on the 7, AV the attorney. Are you supposed to go on somebody's show on YouTube? Another YouTuber, AV? That's what Pamela told me.
She had reached out to me, and I haven't heard anything back from her.
Okay. No, I was about to say that's good if you went on there.
And I had told her that I was game, but she never never got back with me.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I know she's an active lawyer. Maybe she was busy, but yeah, I was like, okay, that's good, because I that's what I'm saying. I want people to reach out to you. You go on different platforms to keep pushing what you're doing.
Because there's so much out here, and we're at the door of what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like on the 17th, we'll be at the jail. I'm gathering all the families of some of the inmates that is in the jail to go to the jail. Right now it's time for the families to really show their faces, and be a part of what's going on. We're going to go to the Board of Commissioners meeting so that they can really give them their input of, they need this jail closed. They need him to be gone. Their family members is in there being stabbed, being, solicited for money. Like, it's all kinds of stuff going on in this trap house. This is no longer the Fulton County jail. This is the Fulton County trap house.
Right.
And I'm dying.
AV7 power. Yeah. Thank you guys. AV7 power. Yeah.
For real. So it's time for a change.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you're always welcome here. I'll give you the link if you got time to come up tomorrow for the hearing, whether she show up or not. And and you always come back whenever you want. Which I'll be calling you anyway to come back on the pop up.
It's so much stuff going on. It's something happening every minute of the hour down here, like literally. I mean, I think that the news have just stopped even reporting it. It's so much, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always
election season.
Always a stabbing, always, then we have Mark Winning and all of them from what the deputies say, they're helping him, so.
Well, keep me posted and I'll have you back on soon.
All righty.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you guys. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks for coming.
Oh, yes.
A few things up over here, but you got a mess down there. Good luck in dealing with it.
I want everybody to go to streetgroomers.org, correct?
Please.
Streetgroomers.org. I'm going to put it in the description and I'm going to put it in the chat. All right. Thank you, LA Pink. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Blessings.
All right. So, honey, we need to get into Mr. Willie Brown.
Tell me about that. What did you hear?
Child, let me tell you the tea. Wait a minute. Let me pull this up, honey. We got to pull this up.
That stuff's not my kind of thing, but go ahead.
I know, but we getting into the tea right now. Because he is messy. Just like Kamala, honey. Let's get into this. I'm calling it pop culture. His old 90-year-old ass. So this is the clip that they put up on Twitter. And then I'm going to go to the YouTube channel and just play a snippet of the clip. But he came up there. First of all, the title of the interview, Willie Brown on dating Kamala Harris, giving her a job, Trump, and lies surrounding their relationship. I'm an hour and 36 minutes in, and the guy interviewing him is not the same guy that interviewed you, but the guy interviewing him did not straight up ask him, tell us about your relationship with Kamala. He skirted around it, which means she learned her word salad from Willie Brown. Because that's all this Negro was doing for 2.5 hours was word salad. Giving this woman praises. She was qualified. She worked here. I gave her her second job. And then after that, I put
question. Did you screw her? Did you buy her a $750?
Exactly.
Did you buy the car?
So this is one of the clips.
To the people, and this has been a wide-running conversation. You've had a personal relationship with Kamala Harris, as well as a professional relationship. For the people who say that Kamala Harris is not Black, what do you say to that?
I would say that I'm smiling, frankly, in answer to the question. Because Kamala Harris is as much of a Black woman as I have ever been associated with, or in any fashion. As a matter of fact, I've often wondered, how can I get her not to say some of the things she would say, or not to take some position that I thought was not good, but I did not ever view her as being other than Black. Never in life. And I still don't view her as being other than Black. And by the way, I don't think she views herself as being other than Black. I think her commitment to her mother was Indian, East Indian. I think her commitment to her father, who's a Jamaican. I think in each of those cases, people have forgotten that those are people with the same African heritage. That everybody, her color, my color, and their color actually has. At one time, white folks used to say in this country, that you had 1 cent of Black blood in you, you were Black. When we were enforcing Jim Crow. That is exactly how they put it. And suddenly, because her father is Jamaican and her mother is East Indian, somehow that makes her less than Black. It doesn't. By their standards, that ought to be a certification of her Blackness, so to speak. But it serves their purpose, period. And that is not, in my opinion, erasable. And I think the fact that she married a person of Jewish faith doesn't make her a Jew. There's a whole lot of other things that makes the combination thereof. And I just wished in this political world we could get off of having to justify our ethnicity and our culture beyond our qualifications.
I also want to say that just as an observation, I was sitting and looking at a picture of you and Kamala back in '94. You guys made a great couple. She was very beautiful then. She's very beautiful now. Do you still love her?
Very much so.
So his old ass is in love with the laughing hyena.
Yeah, I make an observation.
I think you
People
need to
assume
speak up.
people assume J. Edgar Hoover is a white man, but he is Black, most definitely Black, passed for Black. Smithsonian Institution itself has researched his background. His parents got run out of Louisiana for trying to pass for white. And we assume he is white, but we are assuming falsely that he's white. And just like we are assuming falsely that Kamala, who's named after a Hindu goddess, whose father denies any Black ancestry, but says he is Hindu and he's Irish. Interesting. I think he would better know what he is than him, since I don't think Mr. Brown and Mr. Harris had much of a relationship.
Well, you know he's really debunking you. He did this interview to counter.
Who? Yeah.
Willie Brown. What? I'm sorry. First of all, what are you reading? What are you reading?
I'm just reading information here on stuff. I'll come to it in a bit. I was doing a little impromptu.
Well, I'm sorry. Can you stop doing that?
I mean, I'm going to bring it up right on top of what we're saying. I'm looking up some of what he was doing at the time he was with her when he was Speaker of the House in the California legislature. And I'm pulling up what he did to not help her advance her career. He just gave her a couple of jobs, but it looks like he put her on a commission using his position with the House that is typically occupied by people that were retired from the medical profession. She wasn't yet 30, and he got her this job for $72,000 a year. She missed 20% of the once a month meetings to get that. He then got her a higher position on a similar commission through his position with the state legislative body. She was getting paid $120-some thousand a year for showing up to one, sometimes two meetings a month, which lasted an average of 4 hours. And she missed 20% of the meetings in the first year in. So she got financed, and he bought her an upscale V12 BMW 750i. So it's interesting that all of this was on merit. So how do you get $120,000 meet once a month job where everybody else on the commission is 65 plus, and you did that on your merit? She has no background in the medical profession. Yeah.
And he mentioned all these positions. He actually also mentioned, because I did not know this, at one point, Donald Trump donated $5,000 to her campaign out in San Francisco when she was running, I think, for Attorney General or one of them things. I could play that, but the shit is just so boring. But he was just basically saying he believes Donald Trump he believes that Donald Trump supports Kamala Harris and really wants her to be president. This is why I tell people, you cannot believe these politicians. They lie. This 90-year-old man finally breaks his silence, right, after years, and he comes up here for 2.5 hours caping for his hoe.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't want to call her a hoe because she slept with a married man.
That's what she did. She did not have to work her way through the trenches. And if you look at it, which I'm doing right now, what happened for her to get elected to these positions, there's some interesting things. Like when she got elected to the U.S. Senate, it was the first time in the 100-some years since the U.S. Senate had been elected that California had no Republican opposition for the senatorial position. Same thing that happened when she was running for district attorney and attorney general. There was a strange lack of opposition on the way to the office. And the other thing, I don't care what the hell she is, you tell me which one of her parents was here when I was, since they're closely proximate to my age, when we went through what we went through in the 50s, or when my parents were around, who went through segregation, or my grandparents, Jim Crow and Reconstruction. Which one of her relatives went through that? I'd like to know, because what blood has anybody in her family shed for this place? And I'm just waiting on the first real, honest to goodness black person to have the backing of a major political party for vice president or president of the United States. It hasn't happened yet.
Well,
so I'm waiting. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I'm not a plantation Negro who's all excited and joyous, where somebody that can come in and he doesn't know anything about his own history, circumstances, or anything else. I find that interesting, but
I wanted to scroll real quick through these comments, right? Because these people weren't having it. Kamala has something on him, and you wonder why your neighbors ain't got ass because of guys like this that gave all your tax money to this boule friends. He was never for the people. His track record of corruption's on another level. They call him the Godfather, and not in a good way. Another person says, very real spoken older brother, wise and intelligent, like whatever. African American ? If you are still referring to us as African Americans, you are a problem. Somebody else put, I bet she was impressive, very impressive indeed. Yep, he still fucks everybody.
He's been pussy whipped.
Yeah. And then he's like, somebody else says, let's sit Willie and the judge down together.
He wouldn't make it.
I didn't like the way this guy was interviewing him because he gave him some softball questions. That's why I think Willie Brown people came to Art Dialogue requesting this interview to rebuke what you were saying. And somebody said, interview Willie Brown ex-wife about her.
Wait a minute. It rebuked me. Hell, remember, we don't hardly have anybody ever looking at us or listening to us. So what's there to rebuke?
Somebody says, say dating Kamala Harris. Mayor Willie, keep it a stack with us. You were effing some young tender pussy. Talk about dating. Yeah, you saying dating. Come on, dude. That was your woman. What else? Some couple of people said excellent interview. It was boring. I live in San Francisco, and the MF turned my city into a shit show. Trump 2024. Listen, I think the Art of Dialogue. Oh, another person says Judge Joe Brown called Kamala Harris a humping hyena.
Yeah.
She is. Dating Scamala while he was married. Looking good, Willie. So a lot of these comments majority of these comments are against him. because they could see through the bullshit.
And some of the people lived out there when this was going on and know what was happening. This is the same guy that was supporting Jim
The People's
Jones.
Temple.
Yeah, he was supporting Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid. Yes.
Right. He actually he was named Master of Ceremonies for like several years in the 70s. So, and it's like you probably was getting money under the table because Jim Jones was laundering money from his congregation, poor Black people. Majority of his congregation were Black. Mm-hmm. And I think in the 70s, Willie Brown was probably starting his political career, Unique Funds. So, and so I spoke to someone that I know that live out there. You know, he was saying that when he was mayor, a lot of Black people did respect him and appreciated Willie Brown because he kind of could talk like they talk. So he could code switch basically. Also, he did bring in 4,000 additional city jobs when he was mayor, which is good. You know, if you were employing people, especially if there are Black people getting these jobs, but you're still a liar. You're still corrupt. You know, he was under investigation. I think hiring some type of security at an airport.
He was under multiple investigations for corruption in terms of the hiring practices and, let's say, the money going strange places and such like. So, you know.
So do you think him coming out now, giving this 2.5-hour dry ass interview, do you think this is going to help Kamala or make it worse?
No way. Anyway, it's just, It's just, so what? He was knocking it out. I'm glad he liked it. She was probably saying, baby, tonight we'll do page 22 in the middle, page 37 at the top, and we'll finish up with 61 at the bottom. You know, the Kama Sutra's got pictures in it.
Yes, we know. In the interview, oh my God, I don't like the way this guy was interviewing him. So
sounds like a very inept interview, like a giveaway. Hey, we want to help you out. Come on, we'll be nice to you.
Right. So, and this is the first time Willie Brown, I believe, broke his silence, actually sat down, did an interview. So why would you pick Art of Dialogue? Because of you, Judge, because you were on there. And the first question.
Who is Art of Dialogue? I don't even remember it. What was it?
Though you went to the house and he interviewed you, Art of Dialogue.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah,
yes.
That.
And the first clip that he posted, he said, "What are your thoughts on Kamala Harris? You said she's a piece of shit." That went viral.
Oh, okay. Well,
and that is why Willie Brown chose the Art of Dialogue platform to do his interview to counter or push back against you. But he ain't say nothing. He was just praising her, saying, "Oh, she worked really hard. She deserved it." No, she did not.
I bet she humped very vigorously at that young age in a bed. She was nice, I guess. Probably didn't know. Well, she studied the Kama Sutra, I bet. But anyway.
So the guy that were interviewing him, he said, "Well, why is it that, Donald Trump, he has these felonies and he's accused of saying this about women or having a mistress, but, they're dragging Kamala Harris for, her past relationships. He was never direct. And then compared to her saying, in Melania Trump, she posed nude, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, first of all, dude, Melania Trump is not running for office. She has nothing to do with it. So you can't compare. This woman is running, she's VP, and she's running for the presidency. It's no such thing as she's a woman, take it easy on her or double standard. No.
You think Putin will be easy, or Xi Jinping or Rocket Man from Korea?
Exactly.
And wait a minute, there's one difference. It's one thing to buy a hoe and there's another one being the hoe. There's another one being
Right.
the pimp that the hoe works for.
Mind you, Trump never denied it, except for, the case with that chick in New York, because, the sexual assault case. But he never.
He also denied sleeping with the porn star.
Right. But this is the point I'm trying to make here. Even if you catch the man in a lie of his indiscretions when it has to do with infidelity or his personal life, the men are not telling or suggesting that their ex-lover or side chicks do a interview praising them. They don't want you to know. Unless you find out and you expose them, they're not going to offer it up. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, it's like this.
Like, have some dignity in your indiscretions.
I represented some hoes that had redeeming qualities.
No. You don't.
I'm just saying, when I was a lawyer,
I get that, but you don't. Wait. You don't see any of Donald Trump's ex-girlfriends giving interviews praising him. You don't see anybody, ex-lover or side chicks, praising the man that they were sleeping with, because you don't want that out there. But she has the man who she was dating, who was married, and who tremendously helped her career, sit and do a 2.5 hour basically saying this woman was the best thing that ever happened in politics, and she deserves to be president because she worked her ass off. She went to a HBCU. She knows what she's doing.
I wouldn't say that was a qualification. Now, the other thing is, let me
just say this one last thing. I don't want none of my exes. Don't you ever come out. Don't praise me. Don't say nothing negative. Stay where you at in the past. That's a little FYI.
Here's the thing. I understand indiscretions. I understand things that are not indiscretions between lovers. But when the lover has a long history of being a hoe, hey, is she a call girl or a street girl? Or is she one that's a dancer and a call girl? It depends on what her circumstances are. I represented a lot of them. There are distinctions, but, it's kind of is what it is.
I guess.
And what I define is that if it's recreation, is recreation. If it's for advancement, the casting couch, or for money, you a hoe.
Right. Well,
I mean, there have been some, like I said, there are some of the prostitutes, the hoes I represented had redeeming qualities.
Well,
but I don't think they should be president. How does that thing where she sits down in a meeting and all of them, oh, that is the American hoe, that is the American harlot. That doesn't look good for the United States. I don't think the women of the country deserve that slap in the face where the first president, female, would be a hoe. They need a decent, hard-working woman.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Well, I want to talk about another hoe.
Go ahead. We on hoes today.
What are you looking at?
Data, information. I'm doing.
But the data is not about this show right now.
Yes, it is. That's where I just brought that up about him and his history with the state legislative body when he hires her the first time. Or he doesn't hire her. He uses his influence to get her a job. And by the way, he was subject to several investigations contemporaneously with this, based on other favors he was doing for people. They're not subject to this, so I won't even bring them up, but there are accusations about wrongs. Interesting.
Well, guys, do me a favor, and I'm about to get to the super chats. I just wanted to bring up Shannon Sharp real quick. Can you please share this video? I think that I'm slightly being shadow banned because a couple of people are saying the other day when they clicked on the live, it was taking them to a help page. I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is. It's because of the judge. So I really need you guys to share this video. Like, everybody just hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. I would love for you guys, if you have not, please subscribe. Please tell people to subscribe. Please share this video on your social media outlets right now. Everybody on X, hi, please repost. But please like and share, because the closer we're getting to the election, the more the crazy commie leftists are trying to suppress, right? And I'm not a big channel. I'm not. So help us out here. I want to quickly just talk about Shannon Sharp. I brought this to your attention yesterday, and apparently Shannon Sharp went live, but you didn't see him. You heard him having sex with a woman, and he said he didn't realize he was live. He went live by accident. But you cannot, but you cannot, but what do you call it? What do you call it when you butt call someone?
Butt dial.
Yeah, you cannot butt dial an Instagram live. Instagram live is very intentional. So I think Shannon Sharp staged this whole sex audio. And so he owned up to it, saying that it was an accident, but he owned up. He said, no, my system was not hacked. That was actually me. I did not know I was live. And he issued an apology, and I want to play it.
The entire world to.
Can you guys hear that? Can you hear that?
Yes, we hear it.
Here. I'm embarrassed for a number of reasons. People count on Shannon. There are a lot of people that count on Shannon to be professional at all times. And I always try to be professional at all times. Even when I'm behind closed doors, I still try to remain a level of, even when I'm behind closed doors, I still try to remain a level of professional, although I'm in the privacy of my own home. And I'm very disappointed in myself, not for the act. I think there are millions and billions of people of consenting age that engage in activities, but to have your most intimate detail on the audio to be heard, I'm disappointed in myself. I let them call them. I called my sister, my friends. Obviously, my friends reached out, but guys, this was not staged. Came in, I threw my phone. Staged. Came in, I threw my phone on the bed. Engaged in an activity. I did not know IG Live. I've never been on IG Live. I've never turned IG Live on. So I don't know how it works. And so all of a sudden, my other phone is going off and people are calling me FaceTime that I've never talked to a day in my life on FaceTime. And it didn't, I'm like, why are y'all calling me FaceTime? And after a while, Jamie, and he says, Shannon, you on IG Live. I'm like, doing what? You know, I'm like, what am I on IG Live for? I ain't hit no IG Live button. He says, on IG Live for? I ain't hit no IG Live button. He says, they can hear. I'm like, so now, Ocho, you know, I say ask for patience. He said they can hear. And now I'm starting to get agitated again because you called me and say I'm on IG Live when I know I didn't click myself on IG Live. And he said they can hear me. I said, hear me doing what? He said, it sounds like you were having sex. Man, my heart sank. It dropped. I run my accounts, but Jordan being the good Samaritan, the good soldier that he is, Jordan the one that cut it off. Because hell, I didn't even know it was on that he is.
So what are your thoughts?
Ho-hum.
No, you're going to give me more than that.
Ho-hum. I don't care. You know.
So if it was you, would you have went on live to explain and apologize?
I think the whole thing's absurd. He probably would have come off better if he just shut his mouth.
He shouldn't have just said nothing.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Personal opinion. But he didn't. That's kind of like being in a dentist office and the dentist giving you, what do they call it? The popular name was laughing gas, nitrous oxide. And when you get it, you say, don't say anything, because if you say anything, it'll be stupid. And then everybody's looking at you. Oh, Lord, you must have said something. So you try to explain it and it sounds stupid. But it's one of those kind of things.
Did he get fired from ESPN?
I have no idea.
Do you think he should?
I have no idea what sort of institution he was working.
ESPN is a sports network, but I'm just asking you, personally, when something like this happened, if an employee personal life spills onto social media, and in his case, he's saying it was an accident, do you think that they should be let go?
Depends upon what the target audience is for the station. If they've got a whole lot of youth, they might have a problem with that.
Well, we know that,
that the image, they usually have contracts, performance contracts, that allow the studio to get rid of you if you have one of these type of things like that.
I'm sorry, can you look in the camera? Because I think that's hella rude that you keep looking down.
I know, but I was looking at something. Anyway, what bottom line is that this isn't really engaging my attention, but most of these studios or productions have a clause in there about behavior, and if you do something like that, it gives them the out to be able to terminate your employment. Maybe his ratings were low and they decided that they were going to use it as an excuse. I don't know. There's so many variables in there.
Mm-hmm.
It depends.
Well,
I'm not very familiar with who this is.
I know you're not, but it's just you're not familiar with no one, apparently.
I don't
you forgot you was on Art and Dialogue being interviewed. Like
I know I get all these things all the time. That's what I do. So
Trump, let's move to Trump because I want to wrap this up. Trump says that I want to get to super chats actually. He says that he's not going to do a second debate.
Maybe.
No.
He might not, but he might. Depends on the circumstances.
Trump rejects second Harris debate. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump said there will not be another debate against his Democrat rival, Vice President Kamala Harris. But Harris once again called for another debate against Trump. Trump claimed on Truth Social that he won the first debate in Philadelphia. Trump previously debated against President Joe Biden, whose poor performance led to his withdrawal from the race. So on a Truth Social post, he claimed he won the first debate against Harris. He cited as evidence the fact that Harris' campaign had challenged him to another debate shortly after the first one ended. He says, when a prize fighter loses a fight, The first words out of his mouth are, "I want a rematch." Polls clearly show that I won the debate against comrade Kamala Harris, the Democrats' radical left candidate, on Tuesday night, and she immediately called for a second debate. That is true because multiple polls, whether they were independent on YouTube or these institutional polls, did rate Donald Trump as the winner. It's just that mainstream media was declaring Harris as the winner. But he's right, because when you lose a fight, though, they are the first ones to scream out rematch, not the winner.
You know what? I did a debate this weekend with some clown, a Democratic Party shill. And if you had heard it, it would have been a preview for this debate. It was almost exactly the same. And he kept being allowed to bring in video clips and whatever and read stuff that was exactly what Kamala Harris was saying during the debate.
Mm-hmm.
I found that very interesting. So it's surprising. Do you think it's a coincidence that the exact same position was taken by two different people representing the Democrats, just me against this character? And then 2 days later, their presidential candidate is saying the same damn thing, exactly the same points with exactly the same outright lies. I find that interesting.
Right. Me too. Well, let me get to the super chats.
Interesting.
I need for you to stop. What are you reading? Are you on X tweeting?
No, I'm not tweeting on X. I am. Anyway, I'll stop.
Yeah, please, because that's hella rude. We're doing a live show.
I wasn't too interested in the butt bump.
It doesn't matter. When we were talking about Fani Willis, you had your head down.
I know. I was looking up details on what's been going on in Rico. I had to research Rico.
You researched it, but you kept your head down through 90% throughout tonight. Like, come on.
Well, I know, but it is what it is.
No,
let's go.
That's rude.
I was
so
doing
Georgia Jen.
But why?
He said, please ask the judge if he remembers a case on his show about a mountain lion taxidermy job going array. It was the funniest thing I ever seen.
Yeah, I do. Kind of, sort of. Yeah.
I don't think you remember.
I remember it.
You know why he doesn't remember, Georgia? Because he's not going in details about it.
Well, I remember it, but it was what it was. We did.
You don't remember the details.
Yes, I do. But here's the thing. My point with doing what I was doing, looking at this, is it's okay for the Democratic candidate during a debate, whether it's just a few people looking like this on Sunday or a whole lot of people looking on Tuesday, to get this kind of information fed to them. One was actually looking it up online while the debate is going on or through his notes, and the other one was getting it through the pearl earring.
What is your point?
Point is that it makes it look unreal when somebody's doing it but obviously.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about me looking up the data.
This is not a debate.
Listen, I agree.
This is not a debate or a discussion. This is a live show.
I'm making a point. I agree with you. You never see me do this, but to illustrate the difference, I'm doing it obviously rather than doing what I researched and I have memorized, because that's what Kamala did on Tuesday. That's what this character I have debated representing the Democratic Party did on Sunday. They both were looking it up. One, she was getting it read to her through that Pearl IFB, and the other one was actually doing just exactly what I was doing, being allowed during this debate to actually go online or go into his notes and get it. It makes the whole thing different. And I wanted you to observe how this sounded, because
no.
no,
You
let
know,
it just
I
stop.
get what you're
Stop.
saying. I get what you're
Stop.
saying.
It's called
I
in
get
law. Listen,
what you're
in
saying.
law, it's called demonstrative evidence. In other words, you demonstrate the actual thing in court so somebody can see what it looks like. And when they see what it looks like, use it to interpret what they've heard.
That's all well and good. But when we're doing a live show, I need for you to look at the people in the camera.
Well, I will, but
for the purpose of one, because you are being attentive, and two, for the aesthetics. So we're not having a debate. We're not even doing research. So yeah, and you don't look down. You always look in the camera at the people, because that is the proper thing to do when you're doing a live show.
Well, yeah, but I'm not doing it today, or I haven't been doing it today to make a point. Now, I think I made
let me get to this. The importance of being earnest. He says, I'm in Fulton and I have a case that is 2 years old. Okay, and it's still sitting there. Yeah, because they're corrupt. This isn't a super chat, but I highlighted Stewie1156. Dana, why don't you make the correction? No Haitian immigrants were eating cats. The sheriff department said it was a black American woman from Canton who was eating cat. Why not make the correction? First of all, Haitian people who are citizens are considered black Americans. They're just not American descendants of slaves or foundation or freedmen. So she still could have been a Haitian American citizen. But the fact is that that's not one incident. You have multiple people speak at the city commission in Springfield, Ohio, saying they see multiple people get the geese and the ducks from the pond and the lake, snap their neck, and take it back home so they could cook it and eat it. Are Canadian ducks. That if you were to drive around or run them over, you would get a ticket, and in some incidents, lock the hell up.
Well, by the way, while I was looking down, I was pulling up some of the video clips where people were actually showing this being done.
Okay, but the video clips, you weren't showing those video clips during the show.
I know, but I'll.
So then again,
I know. Listen,
and we were not even talking about it when you were looking it up.
Listen to me. Stop it. That's not where I'm.
No, because I talked to.
Listen. This point right here. She's saying it's a lie because the sheriff was the town manager, not the sheriff, who said, no, that's not what's happening. There are 56,000 people that were in the town. They brought in 20,000 immigrants, which is almost 1/2, again, the population. And what the truth of the matter is just because the town manager doesn't report it, doesn't make it the correct thing. Right here in Memphis, the FBI shield that they have conferring says crime is going down in Memphis, but a local radio station exposed how a few months ago, the police department was ordered not to report violent crime, so they haven't been. So of course it would look like it's going down. So if a city manager trying to hold the reputation of this 56,000 person municipality, which is now 70-some thousand, intact, he might deny it. That doesn't change the reality. There are a lot of film clips out there or video clips out there about this, and people have recorded it and they're showing it to substantiate the claim. So that's just a refutation of what the person said. Don't believe this propaganda brought to you by the local version of the Nazi Party known as the most recent rendition of the Democratic Party.
Now, all right, thank you. One old guy's opinion gave her.
Old guy, a lot more sense.
No, what are you talking about? That's his name here.
Oh, old guy.
This is why I say you need to look.
I am looking. I can't see it. It's too small. Let me see.
Just relax. One old guy's opinion gave her a second job, VJ, BJ, AJ, and he looks like he could have afforded whichever her second jobs she did to or for him.
Blow job. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, relax, Judge. Nobody wasn't saying anything negative.
Well, I get that a lot these days, but anyway.
Yeah, which means you shouldn't care.
I
Kevin,
know, but
thank
every
you,
time
Kevin.
I grew up in South Central.
Mezabon,
sorry for that.
I'm always saying your name wrong. Just because you're African doesn't mean you're black.
There you go.
One old guy's opinions again. Comrade, communist, Kamala Harris. That's a good one. KKK Harris.
You could make a good case for that, but I think it's more likely she's a Nazi rather than a good communist.
One old guy.
Good communist would have. Anyway.
One old guy's opinion. She worked Willie's wet hard vigorously and long time.
It worked Willie wet hard because she got him all hot, wet, and bothered.
One old guy's opinion again. Jezebel spirit-filled communist comrade Kamala Harris needs to repent. Timothy the T. No balls walls. Okay.
Tampon.
Math.
Well, wait a
matter.
minute. Why did nobody ask her what she thought about her running mate signing into law a requirement that there be tampons in 8th grade boys' bathrooms in junior high schools?
I have no idea. Matter and energy. ESPN changed their mind. He brings two views in. ESPN changed their mind. He brings too many views in. Yeah, talking about Shannon Sharp. Yeah. Old guy again. One old guy's opinion again. Need to start an OF Sharp. He mad because he didn't make a dime until this apology. No, he made a lot of money off that Cat Williams interview. Thank you, Charles, for the super sticker. And this guy, TM, these networks are extremely biased. Every network, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, all of them, every debate, Trump and his VPs have. Can you please proofread? Have they be against conservatives? Okay. But thank you, this guy. All right. That's it. I'm tired. And you're bugging me a little bit.
Welcome to the club. Anyway. You know what's really disturbing me, especially with this aftermath of this debate, if you look back at what went on in 1934 in Germany, you'll see a lot of it happening right this moment. Even the exact same words and comparable players involved. So that ought to really disturb people. Tell a lie long enough and loud enough, and you can get anyone, including the liar, to believe it. And you and I went over her published mantra from about 48 hours ago, if I'm not mistaken. And she had, what was it, 4 or was it 5 times in separate places in red, where she was accusing Trump of adopting Project 25, a 992-page document by the Heritage Foundation that he has repeatedly rebuked. There was even an incident this past weekend where over 3 separate football games in various stadiums, they had a skywriter going along and saying, vote against the person supporting Project 25 Trump. And that was funded by the DNC, the Democrats. They know that's a lie, but they keep repeating it to get people to accept it. Now, who did that? The Nazis. In fact, they did it in 1934. They never asked her to get into it, but I want to know more about Strength Through Joy, which was the name of the Nazi program implemented 1933, 1934. Why do we have that? I want to know about her statement where she said, we have to have a bureau to manage misinformation. 1934, Goebbels, the Nazi minister of propaganda, said, we will implement a ministry to offset misinformation. Why do we have the Nazi parallels? Stuttgart, Pomerania, and another someplace in Germany had some shootings in the marketplace in 1934. And the Nazis promptly said for public safety, they were going to disarm the public, all but party members. And we have this assault on free speech that we have that's so peculiar. We have this assault on the Second Amendment. We have this telling a lie long and loud enough. We have the actual German names for projects right now, and nobody is getting it. Like, why is the mainstream media not right on this? But then we noticed in 1934, 90 years ago, the German mainstream media suddenly started backing the Nazi party. So what do we have here? Is this another one of those episodes where Hitler duplicated Mussolini with the fascisti in Italy? And let's say Batista did that down in Cuba, and Perón did that down in South America. And let's say, who was it in Spain? Franco did the same thing, where all of these people all over the world through the last 100 years have been doing this, and look where it leads. Nobody seems interested.
Well, you're right. And with that said, guys, thank you everybody that sent in donations. Thank you to everybody that's watching on X, that's in the Love Room, that's watching here on YouTube, that's watching on our website. Like I said, please subscribe to this channel. Please like this video, and please share this video and comment below. That's good for engagement. So, and I appreciate everyone. Appreciate you, Judge. Appreciate LA Pink. I will be streaming the Georgia committee hearing tomorrow, whether Fani show up or not, and that's 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And
is that Central or Eastern time? That's Eastern, right?
Eastern time, yeah, which is 9 a.m. your time. So yeah, so that's going to be tomorrow morning, and that makes every day this week I did a live. I'm not doing that anymore. But I will be, like I said, going live tomorrow morning for the Georgia committee hearing, which is why I'm glad I could. Well, we still 7 minutes under 2 hours, but so yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. Now, see,
by the way, we do these things for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, but the American public is said to be attuned to 5, 10, and 15-second sound bites. Interesting.
Yeah. The average engagement minutes that they usually do for this show is 15-20 minutes, which is very high. But real quick, I do want to, I didn't mean to put that there. 1 second. As you can see across the screen, Vote for Sale, go to Amazon and purchase that documentary. I did interview the director yesterday, Mr. Blackett. So go to Amazon. You could purchase the Blu-ray DVDs, Grassroots Independent documentary, Vote for Sale, Tangibles ? And these are the same people that did the documentary Tethers, but this is about the election and what are you getting for your vote? You know, are these parties, the Democrats or Republicans, trying to buy your vote? And if they are, what are they giving you for your vote? So check out this documentary, Vote for Sale, and you could go to Amazon.
I want to see what they do with that thing they did with Willie Brown, by the same person that did this thing on Joe Brown, talking about
Media all in on the big reset authoritarian. Yeah. What are you talking about?
I just said, I'm interested to see what this production is going to look like when it gets out there. Willie
I
Brown,
showed it. What are
Joe
you
Brown.
talking about?
Hmm?
What are you talking about? I showed the
I know,
image.
but I'm just saying, right now, for example, Fox was using his stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to use that Willie Brown thing because it's all pro Kamala. So Fox isn't going to use that clip. I'm telling you, the interview was boring. He didn't upload clips. He just put the whole video out. No one's not going to sit for the whole 2 hours because really the first 15 minutes you get the sense that okay, this is some softball questions. It's word salad. It's boring. It was boring. It was boring. So, and it was some bullshit because the only thing he did was praise her and basically say she's qualified and she deserves to be president.
Well, he's also justifying what he did that a lot in California felt were criminal acts, allegedly.
Right.
He was under investigation several times for these things. That was only a small part.
Yeah. All right. Well, good night, everybody. See you tomorrow morning.
Good night.
No outro tonight. Good night. Oh, real quick. Thank you, Ashanta Madoni. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I hope I pronounced your name right. All right. Good night. Bye.